What's up, everybody? Jordan Stewart here from Vover. Thanks so much for tapping into the Vover original show. Just a reminder that if you want to drop your opinions about the episode or respond to the host and guests with your voice, go and download the Vover app wherever you get your apps. Vover, voice over everything. Enjoyed the show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of Vover's Pop Culture Corner. I am your host, Jeremy Loss, and I am fresh off of finishing The Suicide Squad, and I'm going to be pretty honest here. That is one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. What an absolute joy that movie was. Joy might not be the right word because the movie is pretty brutal, but just a fantastic, fantastic film done by James Gunn and the team over at DC. I think this was everything that the original Suicide Squad wasn't. This was funny. This was brutal. This was action-packed. This was well-written, well-shot, well-constructed, well-edited. It was just altogether a really well-done film. And I think this just kind of speaks to what can happen when you allow a filmmaker to do what they want to do. And have fun with a project that is pretty absurd to begin with. It doesn't have to be super serious. It doesn't have to be dark and brooding. It can be lighthearted at times. It can be kind of off the wall and just crazy to think about. I mean, the main villain here was a giant starfish. So it's like, we don't have to rethink the wheel here. We can have some fun with it. And I thought the introduction of Idris Elba as Bloodsport was fantastic. I thought he was much better suited in this kind of a role and this kind of a film than Will Smith. I felt like Will Smith was just always out. He just didn't feel right. He just always felt that he was putting on a show, and it didn't feel authentic. At least with Idris, the similarities in the characters between Deadshot and Bloodsport are there, but his character felt authentic. He felt like he was just a tired, wearied man that was just going through the motions to try to make sure that his daughter doesn't go to prison. It just felt a little bit more authentic. I thought Margot Robbie was incredible as Harley Quinn. Totally different from where she was in the first film. She wasn't overly sexualized. She was a pure badass. They might have made her a little OP in the way that she defeated all those henchmen in the mansion, but still fantastic. I thought the introduction of John Cena was great. And now that we get the Peacemaker series, I can't wait to watch it. John Cena is just an underrated actor, by the way. I think a lot of people are afraid to admit that because he's a WWE superstar. But man, he is. I think every movie that I've seen, and I haven't seen Fast 9 yet, so if he's not great in that, I'm sorry. But I think every movie that he's been in that I've seen has been incredible. He's really funny. He has just really interesting way that he delivers lines, and he can come off as an asshole like he does with Peacemaker. He can come off as goofy like he does the character in Trainwreck. So I really enjoy him as an actor. And I love the setup at the beginning where we get all the other random characters that end up getting blown up. And that's kind of sets the stage for how brutal this movie can be, because someone gets their face blown off. The TDK guy gets his arms blown off. I mean, it really does take the violence and gore up another level than the original. The original was PG-13. This one is definitely a hard R. I thought Amanda Waller was still a very a villainous character, but she wasn't as annoying as she was in the first one. I think they overdid her a little bit in the first one, and I think they found the right groove with how much they needed to show her in this movie. I think the only gripe that I would have with this was the non-linear direction that the story went. It jumps from time to time, and sometimes it feels kind of completely unnecessary. But I guess that's just a decision made by James Gunn to do that story in that way. At the beginning, I liked the little ways that they would have either the place that they were at or what they were going to do written out in different ways, whether it's blood splattered on the floor or clouds from or billowing smoke from weaponry. They were able to to put in random text there. After a little while, though, it did get a little stale, and it felt completely unnecessary and just kind of a way to continue you on each plot from set piece to set piece to set piece, and sometimes it just didn't feel natural. And then one other thing that I wanted to highlight, and it might be my MVP for the movie, and that is King Shark. King Shark is quite possibly the most likable character, and he's a villain, but he might be the most likable character I've seen in superhero films in quite some time. He is just so endearing and fun to watch that you just can't help but root for him. The way that Sylvester Stallone voice acts for him is incredible. The way that they just make him kind of like a Neanderthal in the way that he speaks, his interaction with his dumb friends that he finds in the fish tank that end up attacking him was really, really kind of it was childlike and honest and just super endearing to the character. So I loved him. I wish we get some sort of like King Shark series or even a King Shark movie that could just be super lighthearted and fun, because this was so much fun to watch. I really enjoyed it. It's a 2 hour and 12-minute movie, and it flew by. Just an incredible piece of work by James Gunn and a way to revitalize the DC EU or the DC movie universe, whatever they have going over at WB. Because Lord knows they needed it. They needed a movie like this where it was just a bona fide hit, where it just on all cylinders it connects and clicks. I think this opens up the door for James Gunn doing more work with DC. I think this opens up the door to, like I said, revitalizing the DCEU. Hopefully they take this as a jumping off point and they use it for Shazam 2 and they use it for The Flash and get away from this dark, brooding universe that was that they were held hostage by Zack Snyder with. Like, I think they need to get it back to just having fun with it. Don't feel like you have to have these really dark overture films that are not enjoyable to watch. Like, let's get some films that are really easy to watch, really fun for everybody involved, and go watch The Suicide Squad. It's great on HBO Max. I'm sure it's even better in theaters, but take some time to this weekend and watch The Suicide Squad. You will not regret it. We'll be back next week to talk even more pop culture. Maybe we'll talk some What If. It's coming out on the 11th, so maybe next week we'll talk some What If. I cannot wait for that series. So drop a thought. Let me know what you all thought about The Suicide Squad, and we'll be back next week.
Vover!